Hello, YouTube fans and Facebook fans of DX Engineering. It is Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It's 1830 Zulu on October 19th, 2023. And this is the Manufacturer Showcase. This is a show where we normally would bring on one of our over 170 manufacturers and talk to them about their products. This week, however, with the big Jamboree on the air coming on this weekend, we thought it would really be cool to have Bill Stearns, NE4RD, who is the president of K2BSA. Hello, Bill.
Hey, how you doing, Tim? Thanks for having me on.
We're doing fine. And this is a big weekend for amateur radio and scouting. Give us a little bit of a preview of what it's all about this weekend with Jamboree on the air.
Yeah, Jamboree on the air and Jamboree on the internet is the largest scouting event across the world. Basically, 174 countries participate in this event, which can include millions of scouts. Normally, up to about 2 million scouts will be trying to communicate with each other via the radio or various online platforms in order to foster, a good communication and culture sharing and interconnectivity of all the scouting programs within the world organization of the scouting movement. So we'll hear lots of activity on all the HF bands and probably all the various connections like Echolink, DMR, D-Star, you name it. There'll be scouts all over the place and groups putting scouts on the air and teaching them all about amateur radio and probably sharing stuff that they're doing directly online as well to kind of get that internet component in with the Jamboree on the air and Jamboree on the internet.
So, Bill, let's talk a little bit about how this all comes about from the standpoint of, scouts. You've got a merit badge. It's the radio merit badge, which includes amateur radio. But let's talk about the K2BSA stations. Tell us about where they're going to be and how guys can contact the K2BSA stations.
Yeah, so we'll have stations on the air with the K2BSA call sign in various portable locations. We have one in Area 7 in Cloverdale, Oregon. We have one in Area 8 in Wheeling, West Virginia. 6 will be in Bakersfield, California. 4 will be in Prattville, Alabama. We have another one up in Alaska in Chugiak, KL7, and we have a K2BSA 1 will be in Milton, Mass, and K2BSA 5 will be in Hernando, Mississippi. But those aren't the only stations on the air. Those are just the ones that have registered ahead of time for using our club call, the K2BSA call sign, at their special event that they're doing. You'll find all kinds of call signs on the air representing scouting troops and districts and councils from all over the United States. So, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the K2BSA website, which is k2bsa.net. And do you see that, Bill?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And of course, here's the Jamboree on the air, Jamboree on the internet, and some other activities that are part. But you can find out a lot of great information just by going to k2bsa.net. And so if I'm just, Joe Radio Amateur, and I want to talk to the scouts this weekend, what's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is probably just to go through some of the Jamboree on the air items that we have there on the website. There's some operator guides that are really useful for amateur radio operators, either hosting an event or communicating with scouts. If you're interested in really hosting in a group, obviously it's probably a little late now to start planning. We have an entire 9-month rolling calendar planning guide that's on our website that stations can use to kind of pre-plan their event. But the international site is the JOTA.info site, JOTA.info. And that's where you'll register to get what's known as the JID or the JAMPUZ ID. You'll find when you're talking to some of these groups, a lot of the groups will be asking for what's your JAMPUZ ID. So that's one thing you can do. You don't need to be part of a group to do this. You can actually just register online and get that ID. Yeah, basically the scouts will be wanting to get on the radio. They'll be either working on their radio merit badge if they're in the U.S. Internationally, they don't necessarily have the radio merit badge. When we did the World Scout Jamboree here in the U.S., we didn't have a radio merit badge program for the international scouts because they don't do it. They have other wireless components to their program. So this is a truly international event. So here in the U.S., we'll definitely be seeing a lot of kids get on the air with their radio merit badge, where they'll need to make those contacts. I believe that they have to make a 10-minute contact or several contacts within the scope of 10 minutes. As well, there's Cub Scouts that'll get on the air, and they're working on their arrow of lights and stuff like that, where they need to communicate with international scouts. So that might not necessarily be what us as U.S. amateurs can do, because they need to talk scout to scout in order to have that international communications. But basically, all we could do is just foster a good behavior on the radio by answering their calls, helping them out, moving them around on frequencies. I know we get a lot of contacts and after action reports about everybody being on 14.290 because it's a calling frequency. Help these groups out, help them steer away from a single frequency, especially if they're on top of each other and they can't hear each other. A lot of these groups will be in portable conditions, so they might not necessarily hear everybody on the band, as well as us guys with the big antennas and stuff like that at our house. So just helping them with good operator practices and helping them encourage amateur radio and scouting.
It is a great marriage of two great activities, scouting and amateur radio. And I know when I was in scouting, the ham radio merit badge was the first thing that I did. And when my son did his Eagle Scout, that was the first merit badge he did. And actually Gordon West, WB6NOA, was the teacher in Dallas, Texas, when he got his. So there's a lot of great memories that occur because of the Jamboree on the air, because a lot of these scouts are camping out and have temporary antennas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of this in the events. They're having their what you find is called like spookeries and stuff like that, and jamborees, where they're having their fall events in their various councils and stuff. So it's an opportunity too that amateurs that are interested in getting kids on the air for Jamboree on the air, they'll seek out these events and set up their portable gear right there, so they can get a captured audience. As we say, for like success in these operations, it's always best to take the radios to the scouts so you know where they're going to be. You don't have to worry about inviting them over to your club or what have you and trying to just hope that people show up to your event. It's always best to go where they're already going.
Yeah, no, that's true. And yeah, would we see some of the scouts using things like solar power and things to power their radios?
I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of the portable operations we get reports of do various activities, whether that be even summits on the air, parks on the air. A lot of those activities now are so popular that you'll see all kinds of stuff coming out there. A lot of guys demonstrating their mountaintop radios. They're just end-fed half-wave antennas, showing the minimalist setups that you can do to create a contact, to kind of show and exemplify that aspect of amateur radio. And then you'll have the other side where they'll have, the full-blown laptops and the big screens and showing FTA and showing, SDR and showing everything else that can be part of the hobby. As well, you'll have kids building antennas, might have some fox hunting going on. ARDF is a big component now of the radio merit badge. So that's one line that you can do in radio merit badge. They have 3 different things you can do with radio merit badge. You can do amateur radio purely, which is the contact and understanding using the radio. They have the amateur radio direction finding, which is just that component. And then they also have broadcast, which is tracking down broadcast stations and finding those and listening to those, which you can do with SDR and everything else. So there's so many aspects of the hobby. It's always interesting to see these after action reports on exactly what they've tried and what worked.
Well, it's incredible because, every scout has his own story, right? And, and this is about making memories and giving the scouts the opportunity to see a real fascinating hobby. I think it's the best hobby in the world. And here's Andrew from Australia who's checking in with us. Victor Kilo 4 November Mike. And the sun isn't even up in Australia yet, by the way, and it's tomorrow over there. And he says, good morning, Tim and Bill. Scouts is the reason I started in radio 30 years later and still going. So, that says it all. And, it's just incredible. And I want to, recognize you and all the scouting volunteers that help put these things together and make weekends very special for scouts and their parents, and making scouting what it is, and keeping amateur radio right in the thick of it with scouts. And we wish the scouts themselves a lot of luck and good DX and great conditions. And Bill, thanks so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And we'll look forward to a good report. We'll have you on again afterwards and hear how everybody did. But we will be on this weekend looking for the Jamboree on the air, and look for, in particular, the K2 BSAs. But there'll be lots and lots of scouts out there to talk to. Bill, thanks so much. And thanks to all of you for viewing today. Until next time, 73 from DX Engineering.